Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Somani Ceramics Limited Q2 FY22 earnings conference call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode. There will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal for an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Naveen Agarwal, Head of Institutional Equities at SKP Securities Limited. Thank you, and over to you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Somani Ceramics Limited and all of us at SKP Securities, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this financial results conference call. We have with us Mr. Abhishek Somani, Managing Director, along with Mr. Saikat Mukhopadhyay, CFO, and Mr. Sunit Kumar, AGM Finance. We'll have the opening remarks from Mr. Somani, followed by a Q&A session. Thank you, and over to you, Mr. Somani.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Q2 earnings call of Somani. It's been a roller coaster quarter since Q1 for this year. I think there was some kind of stability which happened in Q2. We had issues in July where South was still not open 100%, so that was an issue, and we also had 10 to 12 day strike, the trucker strike in Morbi, where the whole of Morbi got affected. But yet volumes came back very handsomely in the month of August and September, and for the most of India. And for the northern parts and the eastern parts, I think July was also a decent month. As a result, sales grew by about 33% on both a standalone and consolidated basis for Q2. So that was a 33% growth on sales, largely driven by volume. 25+% was driven by volume. The ceramic segment, of course, the GVT segment, of course, has grown the quickest. That's the most favored product in the tile line currently. So that now it constitutes of 28% of revenue, up from 26%. Bathware also is catching up. Bathroom, we had certain non-availability issues because of rain. Sanitaryware units, our sanitaryware unit had a production outage. So from that point of view, it has gone to 100% now. So even then, we grew by about 31%, and this seems to be on a fast track growth for the next couple of quarters for sure. Much better than this growth which we've seen now. The advertising spends obviously for Q1 were nothing, and therefore most of the spends came in Q2. So as a result, you would see about 2% of advertising expense for the H1, but this would be for the year it would be between 2.5 and 2.7% for the year. Next year again it would be between 2.75 to 3% of advertising spend. So you will see a lot of us, lot more of us now in the next 10-12 days. Our full-blown TV campaign will be on stream for the rest of which will be running till March. Capacity utilization, happy to report that pretty much all the plants are running at 90+%. In our parlance, that means 100%. Even the faucet plant, which in the last quarter was not at 100%, is virtually at 100% now. Sanitaryware, like I mentioned, had issues of rain, etc., and therefore it ran at about 40%. That's currently at 100% as we speak. So obviously the growth would be much better. The one big worry, of course, on the debt front, we completely debt-free, net debt-free. And if you would have noticed, the debtors days have come down very significantly to 44 days. I think we are in complete control of that receivable cycle now. We should be able to shave off another couple of days from here, and only endeavor is to get better and better from going forward. The major worry for the short term, for the next 2 quarters, is of various price increases. I think every single input price has increased, whether it is paper for our packaging, whether it is raw material imported and both domestic owing to freight, and whether it is gas, which is our primary raw material. The gas also has moved up very significantly, and I've never seen this kind of unprecedented moves in the gas. Every 15 days there's been an increase in gas pricing, and therefore between the gas price increase and the product price increase, there is at least a 15 to 20 day lag, and that's something which has hit the margins a little bit, and that will keep having pressure on the margins this quarter and next quarter. Although I do see that the global gas prices have started already numbing or softening. So I think by March, April, we should be back to some kind of normalcy as far as gas pricing is concerned. The only advantage here is that, as you would know, most of Morbi, in fact all of Morbi is now also on gas and not on coal. Therefore, we've been able to pass on about 75 to 80 gas price increase. And if this does not continue any further on a 15-day basis to increase, then we should be able to pass on about 80-85% of the gas price by quarter 4, provided there is no further crazy increase in gas pricing, which doesn't seem to be. I believe gas pricing will only go up till December, January, but who knows. So that's the only worry for the short term. What is keeping us going is volumes are very strong. So volumes still are helping us, and we're eagerly waiting for our 3 plants to start. One plant would start in the middle of February, the next one would start beginning March, and the third one would start middle to end March. So eagerly waiting. Next year should be completely, all of those 3 plants will be up and running. So that is something which clearly looking forward to. And I think by then these gas price issues will also get settled, and most of the other freight issues will get settled. On a macro level, what is helping the industry on the backdrop of exports becoming slightly slow, again only because of freight, which is again a 5 to 7 month phenomena, because since then, up till then, I think the freight rates would start going down and exports will again pick up. But what is helping the Indian industry currently is finally the real estate sector is back. After a 10-year lull, the real estate sector is back. So I think a lot of the industry will be busy supplying to the real estate sector in India, coupled with the export focus, which anyway the Indian industry has, which will again take off the minute the freight rates go down a little bit. So overall, we see next year again fairly decent, but for the next 2 quarters, volumes would be helping us, and I think the pressure on the gas, to my mind, by December there could be some kind of normal for the next for quarter 4 before it starts going down. So overall, things are looking good for the industry and for Somany specifically. We continue to increase our dealerships in the tier 3, 4, 5 towns. Currently, we have 2,700 active dealers. In fact, with this receivable cycle, pretty much 100% of our dealers are active, and we are yet to make another 150 this year. So there would be a net addition of about 300 dealers plus for this year, and the same amount of dealers would come up in the next year. So the endeavor is to increase our footprint in the tier 2, 3, 4, 5 towns, and that's where the focus is. And on the other hand, keep branding to get the pull to convert more of our product line into value added. So I think this is it for me, and then I would like to open the floor for Q&A. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handset while asking questions. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. To ask a question, please press star and 1 at this time. The first question is from the line of Girish Chaudhary from Spark Capital Advisors Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Hi sir, thanks for the opportunity. Couple of questions. Firstly, On the price hikes, if you can share the quantum of hikes taken during 2Q and incrementally how much more has been taken in the current quarter. And then likewise, if you can also share the gas cost details in Morbi and outside of Morbi.
Yeah, so price hike since April to now, to in fact Q2 end, which is September end, has been about 4.5%. And since then we have taken again another approximately 3.5% price increase already, and we are in for another price increase which we're waiting for the next 15 days to see where the gas price goes. So overall we've taken approximately a 10% price increase, and I think there would be another price increase very soon in the next 10 to 15 days. As far as gas price is concerned, I can give you the prices, but it's fairly futile because this is changing on a weekly, in fact on a 15-day basis. So currently our price in the northern plant is about 41, 42 rupees a standard cubic meter, and we have clear sight because this is on a 3-month moving average. This would go up to 47 to 48 within the next 3 to 4 months, a standard cubic meter. The western plant, which is our western plant and also the JVs in Morbi, which means the entire Morbi pricing is about 61 to 62 rupees a standard cubic meter, and this should move up, which we believe is on the offering with the GSPCL. This should move up to approximately 70 rupees, 72 rupees a standard cubic meter within the next 15 to 20 days, so by 1st of December. As far as the south plant is concerned, there we are exposed to spot. There our pricing is about 92 rupees a standard cubic meter. And this price I think is probably peaked. We will see some kind of reduction in the next 1 month, if not the next fortnight.
Got it. That's helpful. Secondly, just wanted to get some sense on the second half expectations. Like last year, I see that you had a very strong second half, around 1,050 crores plus of revenues. So currently, our pricing itself is up around 10% on a YOY basis, including this quarter price hike. So what would be your volume growth assessment? And then consequently, if you can also guide us on the margin trajectory considering the price hikes and the inflation which you mentioned.
I think the volume growth is something which we are more confident of. So for their point of view, I think we should be able to do a 15 to 20% growth. So it would be a fairly good growth in the H2. And as far as margin guidance is concerned, steady state, if nothing bizarre happens going forward, which I don't think should happen, we should be able to maintain a margin of the current level which we've shown. Obviously, it would have been far superior if the gas prices would not have been jumping every 15 days, and this volatility would have been some kind of stability. So we're hopeful that we will be able to do the same kind of margins, plus or minus 100 bips, 0.1, 0.2, so between 12 and 12.2, 12.3, something that we're fairly confident.
Got it. So I have one more, if I may. So this is on the exports. In the past, I know that it was not a key priority sort of revenue for the company, but are you incrementally evaluating? Because what we have seen is that one of the peers setting up a subsidiary in UAE and sort of directionally guiding for increasing the export. So what have you thought about this?
What about the UAE? I'm sorry, I missed that.
So one of the peers has set up a subsidiary in UAE and directionally they are guiding for increased export targets from a revenue perspective. So in the past, I know that it was not a key priority for the company, but increasingly, given the size of the market, are you sort of thinking about this?
No, it's still not a priority for me at the way the export is happening from Morbi, which is at long credits and no instruments backing that. So from that point of view, no, I'm not prioritizing, but if we are opening various new countries and opening a UAE office is probably because probably a showroom would be coming up or something like that. Anyway, as far as we're concerned, we're probably in the organized sector the highest number in exports. So from that point of view, I think we're fairly happy doing a profitable export rather than a long credit without any financial instrument in place. So from that point of view, I think there's enough headroom for us in India. Export will remain in the 3 to 4% of revenue. I don't see that going up at least for the next 24 months.
Got it. That's helpful, sir. Thank you on the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Rajesh Ravi from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Congratulations on great set of numbers. First of all, on the gas prices which you mentioned, this for north prices, Morbi and south which you mentioned, are they the current prices as we stand in October? 41, 42, 61, 62, and 92. So average of how would the average numbers for 2Q look like, sir? Average in 2Q across these three locations.
For gas price?
Yeah. Your consumption average.
No idea. It doesn't make any. I mean, why even discuss Q2? That's a past quarter, so we're looking at Q3 now.
No, that's right. Just to understand the cost impact, how would that, sequentially.
I have no clue on that. You can take it offline with Sunit, but I don't have that calculation.
Okay. This GBT share you mentioned 28% is for 2Q or H1?
For Q2.
Q2. So why I'm asking is...
There is no significance because for 1.5 months in the Q1 we were anyway shut.
Okay. So is this a steady run rate at least for this year is what you expect to maintain? Why I'm asking this because 2 years...
It will only get better. GVT will only get better.
Yes, because I believe 2 years back it was well below 25%. And
correct.
Now at 28, I'm expecting this to move up. This is one direction where your margin can improve and, on the higher side. Great.
Yes, second is you are out of 12 million square meters, which is coming up, 8 million square meters is all in GVT in our own plant.
Right.
So when that happens, this would even further improve.
Okay. So next year, what is any ballpark number you're looking at when these all the new 8 MSM factory would be operational?
Sorry?
By end of this year, when all these new GVT factories will get operational, for FY23, what sort of GVT revenue share you're looking at?
31-32% to begin with. It could only improve from there.
Okay. And volume guidance, was it 15 to 20% you're looking for full year?
Volume guidance is about 12%, and the balance would come from value. So.
Okay.
But volume, again, the question is that we don't have enough material today, so it's a good problem to be in.
Okay. And margin you're looking at 12 to 13% range. Is that understanding right?
I'm saying our current levels.
Obviously, assuming things remain as they are. We're not holding you that, you're not delivered. Okay.
Yeah.
And sir, on the capex front, how much is left for the ongoing capex? First half we did around 82 crore.
Yeah. So in first half we have done roughly 75 to 80 crore rupee already done. The total outgo would be somewhere close to 180 to 190 crore, including some amount of escalation which just happened in due course on account of steep increase in freight and all these things.
Okay.
So another 100 crore 2 years to go.
So this 100 crore will be totally spent in this financial year itself, second half?
Yeah. Yes. All this commissioning would be completed by end of this financial year maximum.
Okay.
In a phased manner. Yeah.
Okay, great. And sir, on the demand side, you mentioned that exports were hit because of the sharp rise in freight. Now that even freight rate is started to cool off significantly, at least on the Baltic side, we see that number, dry index coming off. Any sense on export gaining momentum in this quarter, third quarter?
No, I wouldn't have immediate BI on it because we don't export too much, but I do believe that the next 6 months, Morbi is obviously they're pursuing the exports very vigorously, but in the next 6 months, freight rates haven't cooled off enough for this to have a jump, but it's a question of the next 4 to 6 months before it again.
Okay. Because any improvement on the export side will have positive bearing for domestic measures like you. Is that understanding right?
I think there's been a clear differentiation now largely between branded and unbranded players. So from that point of view, I don't see if the exports pick up, obviously the pressure will be reduced, but I don't see a very significant pressure on us looking at the current raw material prices going up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Morbi also has enough headroom to really cut prices and sell over here.
Right, correct, because the cost inflation is higher over there. And lastly, on the bathware segment. Sure.
I request you to return to the queue for your follow-up questions as we
Sure,
have
I'll do that, please.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure that the management is able to address queries from all participants, please restrict your questions to 2 per participant. Time permitting, you may return to the queue for your follow-up questions. Next question is from the line of Yogesh Patil from Reliance Securities. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking my question, sir. Sir, you are expecting a gas price hike of rupees 8 to 10 per SCM in next 15 days. So how much product price is required to pass on to cope up this gas price hike? Any bulk you can provide?
Yeah, so I am expecting an 8 to 10 rupees gas price increase in the western part, and I mean looking at a 2 rupees, 3 rupees increase in the northern plant, and in the southern plant I'm not looking at any increase going forward. So I think on every 10 rupees there is a requirement of approximately 2 rupees a square foot to 1.5 to 2 rupees a square foot, depending on the product price increase required. So about 5-6% further it will go up.
Thanks, sir. Sir, my second question is related to your total power and fuel cost. So how much would be the gas cost? Will it be 60-70% of the total power and fuel cost or more than that? Sir, because as per our understanding, you are using a gas for tile setting purpose only, and other manufacturing processes can be energized by other fuels. Is that right understanding, first?
So your question is how much is our gas price of our product, or how much is gas out of our power and fuel?
Correct. Gas out of your total power and fuel cost.
About 60-65% of the total power and fuel. Largely gas, basically.
Yes, sir. So sir, in this high gas price scenario, can your company switch to other fuels like LPG and fuel oils? As we know that coal gasifiers are already banned in Morbi, but
That's even more expensive, and you have to create an infrastructure for it. So nobody has infrastructure of LPG yards, and it will be silly to create an infrastructure for 6 months, because these kind of gas prices are clearly not sustainable.
Okay, thanks a lot, sir, for giving a clear picture. Thanks. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Next question is from the line of Dhananjay Mishra from Sunidhi Securities and Finance Limited. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Congratulations on a very strong operating performance. Just wanted to check, in opening remark you said we also had a inflation impact on freight side and packaging side. So could you quantify in terms of what percentage we have seen in terms of increase in these?
So yeah, every time we're taking a price increase, it's a holistic price increase, and currently looking at the gas increase, those increases are fairly insignificant in the larger picture. So until Q2 we had taken that into our increase of that 8 to 10% which we did. Going forward, there's not been any further increase in the paper cost. So it's largely gas as far as October, November, December is going to be concerned.
And what about some imported raw material you mentioned?
Yeah, so imported raw material is extremely small, under 2%. So all our glazes and freights have got affected a little bit. But again, it's insignificant in terms of when we look at the gas price increase.
In terms of price hike, you said 5% we took from April to September, 3% in October, and 3% more we will take in next 15 months. So overall 10% price hike, right?
Yeah. Plus whatever else will happen in the next 15 days.
Okay, so already 10% is taken, and 3% on next 15 days we will take another some hike, right?
I don't have BI on exactly what the gas price will be. Whatever that will be, we will try and pass on around about 80-85% of that.
Okay, sir. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Ashish Poddar from Systematix Institutional Equities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, and congratulations on great set of numbers. So my question is on the pricing. So where do we stand when we compare with Kajaria, the leader's pricing? And has the gap narrowed in the last few years? And are we taking price hikes in sync with them, or we are taking on a call based on our focus on market share gains or something like that? So what's our strategy there? So this is one. The second is on the margin. So this 12%, the current margin, which is under this challenging scenario, but next year you are saying that the growth outlook is strong and the input cost pressure will normalize. So what is the margin trajectory you see in coming years from 2-3 years perspective? Thank you.
Thank you so much. So yes, so the first question, which is how are we taking the price increase? Yes, we are absolutely in tandem with the industry. And mind you, here the large part of the price increase is led by Morbi, which is about 75% volume. The only difference being that Kajaria is, you really can't compare because a large part of his manufacturing is in the north, versus we're equally distributed in north, east, north, south and west. So therefore, from that point of view, his price increase for a larger part of his production, about 52% of his production being north, the price increase has not been that much because it's on a 3-month moving average. However, when the gas price, the spot starts going down, these prices will go down 3 months later. So at that time, 52%, which is today at an advantage of his, will have probably a little bit of a disadvantage for those 2-3 months, and including our 30%, which is being produced in the north. So it's not an apple to apple, so I really can't compare. But yes, obviously he's also not losing the opportunity of any increase, just like us. When Morbi increases, everybody increases. So I think that's the answer as far as the margin, the difference is concerned. And if you want the absolute difference, it's about 14 to 15%, of which approximately 5 to 7% is on product, and the balance is on the product mix between us and Kajaria, and that we hope to narrow. If we have narrowed that, and we hope to narrow that further the minute our manufacturing starts. But I'm looking at more my own margins rather than being obsessed with somebody else's margin. As far as the second question is concerned, what was it?
Strategy to bring.
Yeah, the next year strategy, obviously with our 3 units starting, I think wherever the margins would be this year, I think it would be at steady state. Obviously, gas is not going to go down overnight. So we're looking at nothing less than 150 bips increase pretty much immediately when these plants start, and the endeavor would be to better that for next year.
Yeah, thank you so much, and all the very best, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Sneha Talreja from Edelweiss Securities. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir, and thanks a lot for the opportunity, and congratulations on great set of numbers. So just one question here. You mentioned on the distribution front about your distribution network going to 2,700. Is that number correct?
Yes, our current active dealer is approximately 2,750 or something like that, yeah, plus or minus 20-30.
So, sir, I believe there's a substantial increase in that number. Since I recall during Q4, it was somewhere about 2,000 active dealers. Could you also, tell me that, how has the addition gone through? Which are the territories that, you're, being aggressive on? Especially, what is the amount of volume growth that you're only getting? You used to give some number in terms of, 5 to 7% revenues coming in from new dealers. If at all you could specify from last year how much it has, moved up.
Yeah. So there are 3 buckets. One was the active dealers. I think that number is a little off. It was about 2,200 in Q4 was our active dealers. Since then, we've been able to add about 170, 180 dealers. Net addition, obviously, most of the additions have happened July onwards because only then the lockdowns had opened. That 170 dealers have given us about 3-4% of extra revenue. 3-4% of our total revenue has come from the new dealers, and the significant increase has been in 3 buckets. One is the increase in dealers. And the other increase has been that the receivable cycle becoming better. All the dealers which were still stuck have all come back online. So I would have virtually under 100 dealers, under 75 dealers which are still in some form or the other stuck with some receivables, which is the endeavor to, shave off that extra 1-2 days by bringing them in line. But largely, all our dealers have come into billing cycle. And what even alarming figure is that about 24 months ago, this active dealer list was only under 800. From there, it's gone to 2,700.
So just clarity on that. I mean, it's a phenomenal increase in number of dealers. Just wanted to understand, are these dealers completely new to the tile space, or are these the ones who were earlier dealing with, the smaller brands have now started dealing with you? And if that's the case, after any which ways, this capacity additions happening in Morbi, there are coming up from December, or whenever things improve for Morbi, is there any chance they can go back, or you think that these are the dealers now that they've, attached with you, they would stay for a longer time? So just understanding the thought process there.
So I think we've been able to add dealers on 3 fronts. One is, so it's a mixed bag as far as that is your question is concerned. Not that many brand new people who, let us say, were doing paint or ply or pipes or something like that and jumped into tiles. Some have, not that many. The second basket is that we've been able to attract dealers who are already in a trade in a larger town and they've gone into tier 2, tier 3 and branched out. So they also have grown within their own state in a smaller town where they have other working hands within the family who have branched out into a new location altogether. And the third has been that there's been a large shift from unbranded to branded. And I think this is here to stay. With Morbi coming back on, the dealers are fairly clear that the Morbi is going to be under pressure only because of exports not happening so significantly due to the freight rates being very high. They very clearly know that the minute the freight rates numb, which it will have to, it could be a question of 4 months, 6 months, 7 months, something like that. The minute that happens, they would again drop them like a hot potato and move towards export. So the dealers are also very wary of increasing their shop share with a Morbi brand. They're clearly looking at a branded sector. So there's that focus which we've been talking of since the GST days is slowly and long-term happening today.
Right, so that's becoming kind of a practicality. In that sense, so just one last question here to end with. What would be your revenue run rate that now we can look at? I mean, the growth. So we at once, before the real estate was, was doing much in favor of us. We used to do 18 to 20% of our revenue run rate. Even now, if you look at even on the low base, we have been able to do a strong revenue growth. So what's giving us, why are we not able to give a guidance which is, more than, around 12 to 14% or, in the double digits? So can't we move back to those golden days of 18 to 20% run rates that we used to see when the real estate was, doing well?
Do you mean revenue growth or EBITDA?
No, actually, I would restrict myself to volume growth since prices is something which is, more or less related to gas.
So you see, whenever we talk of growth, it's largely led by volume. So it's an 80-20 between volume and value. And I'm fairly confident that in the next 2 to 3 years, this should be in the mid-teens to high-teen growth, at least for the branded sector. I have a caveat there. Over there, the caveat is that, there should not be a complete slump in export, which should not be. And the other caveat is that the gas prices shouldn't move up to, I've never seen gas prices beyond 35 and it's currently at 90, so it shouldn't go to 200 or 300 and, make tiles unaffordable. But both of those are very, very cautious caveat, highly unlikely. So therefore, I'm quite confident of a mid-teen, high-teen kind of growth. So yeah, you can pretty much take that.
Got that, sir. That was helpful. Thanks a lot, sir, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Rupesh Tatia from IntelSense Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. I just have one question. In H1, I see that interest finance cost is roughly 16 crore and other income is 10 crore. So we are kind of losing, few crores there, even though we're net debt free. So do you see that moving? Even though you are doing capex, do you see gross debt to continuously go down every quarter?
Yeah, I'll let Sunit answer that question.
So because basically you are referring to the consolidated number, whereas the debt guidance and the capex things is more from a standalone perspective, because the consolidated number includes the 9-10 operational other companies where we don't have any corporate guarantee even or any kind of debt servicing, I would say, guarantee. So it's basically the debt and equity funding and the arrangement, the means of finance arrangement for that particular SPV, that particular JV only, right? And it goes as per the amortization schedule of that particular JV, and it gets fully paid off over the loan cycle of that entity. So the debt-free thing is with respect to the standalone number, where we have close to 200 crore rupee lying in our balance sheet as a surplus. But definitely this is not available to pay off the debt of those other entities. So hope that clarifies your question. If you look at the standalone numbers, there is hardly any finance cost. It's a very minimal number, and that's attributable to one term loan, the long-term loan, which is lying in the balance sheet and getting paid off in another 12 to 14 months.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. A reminder to the participants, to ask a question, please press star and 1. Next question is from the line of Venkat Samala from Tata Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks a lot for the opportunity. I just wanted to understand the strong growth that you are currently seeing and that you foresee of 15 to 18, mid to high teen growth that you are foreseeing if the export scenario kind of looks robust and plays out as we are envisaging. So what percentage of that you would attribute to industry growing, and how much would be because of, say, shift from Morbi to organized players?
So, okay, I'll answer the question in a different way. This year, the industry will degrow. So, from that point of view, whatever growth we've taken market share within India, because we didn't have the playground of the exports any which way. So, let's break down the industry. Let's take, for example, 35,000 crores for argument's sake, plus minus 1,000 crores for this year, out of which about 12.5, maybe 13,000 crores should have been export at last year's run rate, which is going to be nothing more than 9 to 10,000. So let us, for argument, take 10,000 away from that. So 35 minus 10 is 25. 25 approximately 50% is Morbi. So let's take 12,500. So in 12,500 crores, there are 2-3 players at the top which have taken significant market share from the others, and the balance 12,500 crores in the Morbi area is going to degrow. So I think going forward, we're fairly confident, because this whole branded to non-branded shift which is happening, that is where we are thinking that the top couple of players will keep growing fairly significantly and garnering market share in the branded space and obviously the overall space. So it would be an unfair comparison going forward now between what the industry does and what the top 2-3 players do.
Understood. Right. But do you also expect the industry to grow at maybe double digit going forward, given the optimism that you are seeing in the overall environment as well?
So very optimistically, I would think that the industry should double from here in the next 5 years, 6 years. Obviously, hopefully there will not be any serious continuous lockdowns, pandemic lockdowns. If that doesn't happen, let's say 22 to 27, we should be doubling this industry from 35 to 70,000 crores. And very pessimistically, I think we should be doubling in the next 7 years, maybe 8 years. So you can extrapolate from there. It's a fairly large number. So this industry is definitely going to grow, and it's going to grow on the backdrop of the real estate industry, backdrop of further urbanization happening in India, and on the backdrop of the export moving from a 20% level for the last 10 years of the industry to about 45 to 50% level of the industry being exported. So mind you, China is still sitting at 6 billion or 7 billion square meters of tiles which they produce, and India is just at 1.2 billion. So And I mentioned on the call that we are genuinely very competitive compared to China. Forget the dumping part of it, but we are genuinely very competitive. I don't see any reason where the export should not move up very, very significantly going forward.
Understood. Thanks for that. And my last question would be a qualitative one. So generally we are seeing very good numbers when it comes to absorption of the real estate, right? But at the same time, the new launches, whatever we are hearing, it's a little mixed. I mean, it will still take some time to pick up. Given the fact that, we come at the later part of the development cycle in the real estate segment, do you think that there could be the growth could slightly taper off before picking up?
So again, this would be a differential between the top players and Morbi. For Morbi, which is highly dependent on the real estate sector, the growth may taper off if what you are saying happens. But for us, our entire exposure to the real estate industry, which is the private builder industry, that does not include government and does not include corporate homes, corporate sales, which is the retail sales of a Maruti, of a Zara, or an IKEA or something like that. If you discount that, our total exposure to real estate directly is about 5 to 6% and indirectly is about 8-9%. So I think we are good as far as that is concerned. It's a fairly insignificant portion. Even if I had to taper off, it's not going to hit my growth very significantly.
Understood. So you're largely immune to what happens in the industry is what you're getting at. I mean, the whole pie itself is so large for the top 2-3 players to grow irrespective of what really happens to the industry.
And the top 2-3 players are largely now dependent on selling to the plotted market or the homes being constructed on either a plot being bought from a builder or then an individual plot being bought and made. So that is where we are selling. Unlike unlike the industry, which is largely dependent on the large builders.
Understood. Right. So just as a follow-up, what would be your exposure to the metros in terms of revenue?
No, I don't know the exposure to the metros, but I do know that more than 75% of our exposure is in all non-metros.
Okay. That answers it. Thank you.
80% actually. 80% is non-metros.
Okay. That answers it. Thank you. Thanks a lot and wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Asan from ITI Alternate Funds Management Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Hi. So if you could just provide a brief overview of your capex.
Well, whatever capex has to happen, that 175 crore rupees, which will happen this year. The rest of the capex for the next 18 months is on basically the routine capex, routine maintenance, etc. So the number will be anywhere between 30 to 40 crore rupees, like it has been in every normal year, but at a much larger volume.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. Next question is in the line of Nikhil from Galaxy International. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity and congratulations on a good set of numbers. I just have a fundamental question. So the company has been doing well and has definitely traveled a lot of distance over the last couple of years in terms of margins and let's say predictability and other things. However, when I still compare it with the industry leaders, so I think there is still a very, very significant gap between where we are today and where they are operating. So what are your thoughts on, let's say, on the journey that we are taking to move closer to them or equal to them in terms of margins, revenue, sales, and other things? Thank you.
Yeah, so we're growing at our pace. I mentioned what our growth would be for the next couple of years, 3 years. And as far as the margins are concerned, we will narrow the gap. That's the endeavor. And I've already mentioned that there would be 150 basis points increase overnight the minute these plants start. So therefore, you will have that gap reducing.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. But is the difference coming in basically because of, let's say, higher realizations for them, or is it like on the cost side they are a little different than ours?
No, so it's not on cost side. I think it is on 3 points. One is proximity to the market. Large part of their manufacturing is the north, so they get an advantage of that. Number 2 is their brand, which gives them an extra, price realization. The number 3 is on the economies of scale, which obviously they're 35-40% larger than us, so economies of scale. And the fourth point is the product mix. So we're trying to address each one of them one by one and to narrow the gap. And the endeavor is to currently be a formidable number 2 before we bridge the gap and close in on number 1.
Okay. Thank you, and best of luck for the journey. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Asim Barde from DAM Capital Advisors Limited. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. 2 broad questions from my side. So firstly, you mentioned that, what Morbi would or may do on the pricing front, we most likely would have to follow that. But as per your estimate, if gas prices come down from April, would Morbi have an incentive to cut prices given the strong demand environment?
Yes, I think there's been an unprecedented price increase. So from that point of view, there will be, when the gas prices go back to the older prices or some kind of old price levels, there will be a cut. And at that time, the endeavor is that we hold on to some percent of our increase, and that would be the extra margin which comes into the top couple of players.
So you would be trying to retain some part of the price increase.
Right.
And what can we do to really decouple from this pricing movement, so that what industry does is no longer relevant for Somany? Is it just brand spending that would be the only factor, or can we do something else on, say, product innovation or services, something to truly differentiate yourself?
So globally, this industry is a commoditized industry. So it's, I think the other way around. It's going to be the economies of scale. So we keep scaling up, which gives us a large fillip. But as far as pricing is concerned, gas being such a large element of our cost, if that goes up, I don't think we can decouple ourselves and fortify ourselves to that extent. So it's inevitable that prices go up or go down, depending on the gas. And can we be absolutely on the other end of the spectrum? Not at this volume. That decision we would have had to make maybe 20 years ago, where we would choose to be a niche player. So you will see in Italy there are companies which make 30% EBITDA, but then what they sell in a year, we probably sell in 15 days. So with that kind of volume, yes, you can do a lot, but we're not at our kind of volume. I mean, I'm selling like 25 lakh square feet a day, and industry leaders selling about 33 lakh square feet a day. This volume is highly sensitive. It's a mass product. It's meant for the masses and not the classes.
Got it. Just one final question. So the industry numbers that you talked about, doubling in the next 5 years or maybe 8 years, depending on what your perspective is. How much would exports be as a percentage when the industry doubles? And just another follow-up on this, how much would be replacement or renovation proportion as a percentage of the overall industry pie?
I see export, whatever the number of the industry is going forward, I see exports at between 40 and 50%. Traditionally, whatever that number was 10 years ago, so let us say 2019 and below, so 2009 to 2019, whichever year you take a number, exports did not constitute more than 20-21%, 22%. So now going forward for the next 10 years, exports will constitute of 40 to 50% of whatever that number is. And your next question was?
On the replacement / renovation demand, how much that would be?
The replacement market was between 15 to 18%. I don't have BI on this, I'm sorry, because the industry doesn't capture it. But I do see a lot more replacement happening now, specifically because with the pandemic, a lot of people have realized that they need to upgrade the home. They need to probably, somebody who didn't have a small mini office in the room, in a home, make a desk, make an office, make a gym, etc. So I think that traction is definitely happening, but I'm really sorry, industry doesn't capture that data, unlike the paint industry. But I guess going forward, it has become a serious point, and somebody will capture this soon.
Sure. Okay, that's it from me. Congratulations on a strong show and looking forward to such continued deliverance ahead. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Rajesh Ravi from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. I have a follow-up on the bathware segment. Could you share what is the outlook and also what is the margin profile in this segment, please?
The margin profile going forward, we should be looking at a 14-15% EBITDA level, and the outlook is that we should be growing at 30 to 40% in this segment, at least for the next year. But obviously, the base becomes larger, and then I will probably give the guidance at that time.
Great. And sir, with the recent announcement by a pipe major to foray into this segment, how do you look competitive intensity of like more branded player entering into this segment?
I think the sanitary ware bath fitting industry hasn't been as competitive like the tile industry. So in tiles, we're fighting 1,100 brands. In sanitary ware, even today, we're fighting at best 15 brands. So a few more have to come. I mean, India is growing. So
correct.
I think yes, I would see that 3-4 more people will probably jump in, and this is not the end of it.
Okay. And second, when you talked about the tiles industry and you said that this year you see the industry contracting, so do you imply even domestic plus export, or only on a domestic basis you're looking at demand contraction and market share gain for the branded player?
No, in exports we don't get any. None of the branded players export.
No, I'm not asking from that perspective. When you talked about the industry contraction this year, is it only in domestic you are talking about?
No. So largely the contraction will be on account of export.
Okay. So any sense how would the domestic numbers look like year on year in FY22 versus 21?
Too early to say, because if the freight rates go down in the next couple of months, this might just jump, because there is a latent pent-up demand there also. So very, very early to say. It would be unfair to even pin a number right now.
Okay. And just to cross-check the number, you said 25,000 crore ballpark domestic, out of which 12,000 or 50% is Morbi. Yeah. And in Morbi, the 50% of Morbi is an organized top few players who are gaining market share at the cost of the smaller Morbi player who are active in the domestic market. Is that understanding right?
Both. So in the Morbi segment also, the top couple of players are gaining market share, and in the branded segment also, the top 2-3 are getting market share from the other branded guys.
And that is where the growth is appearing much stronger compared to the industry numbers.
Correct.
Okay. Great, sir. I'll come back. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may enter star and 1 at this time. As there are no further questions, I now hand the conference over to Mr. Samani for closing comments. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and sorry I forgot to wish everybody happy Diwali. I think we're looking forward to a good next year. This year there is going to be a little bit of pressure on margins, like I mentioned. Volumes are holding up, fortunately. But next year, we're really looking forward to next year. So see you again on the Q3 earnings calls somewhere in January. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of SKP Securities Limited, that concludes today's conference call. Thank you all for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.